You are watching
All
Xirtus.
right, Boeing X-37. So the orbital test vehicle. This is the drone that was announced at some point. I think we started seeing the X-37B2 was in the sky for 300 and some odd days and came out of the sky sometime after the Flight 370. I remember people associating X-37B with Flight 370 to some extent. I think there's also a conspiracy about time travelers with the X-37B. Is there something you wanted to bring up about this? I mean, Qatar, Boeing, Air Force One. What was the sync that was leading you to this?
Yeah, I only bring it up because I've been stumbling across a channel by the name of Stephen Cambrian, I believe.
Mm,
And what he's been doing recently is like 4 to 6 hour shows on David Wilcock. And potentially, I can't say in detail, but potentially rightfully criticizing Wilcock for certain statements, certain practices, and so on.
mm.
And this was just an aside where someone said, "Oh, all this is fake or whatever," and then he said, "Oh no, look at this particular vehicle. It can actually." I'm not sure if it would be appropriate to say go to space or something, but yeah, I just put it there because I thought like, oh, I never heard about this
Yeah,
particular.
it's a drone, and there's a number of modern versions of this. The Atlas V, I think, is another example of a drone rocket based on this, but it's very much plane shaped, right? And you can see how it's a rocket with a glider, essentially a glider rocket. Yeah, I mean, they could put people in the X-37B, I believe. It's not
This
sure if
is
they did
great
though.
CGI.
Oh
That's
yeah,
a
it's
nice
not.
one.
But this is
That's
because
classic graphics.
in
Yes, this is a good
1990,
one.
this is from 1999. This rendering, right? So it's not the physical real one. This is the picture I remember. Is the photograph of it once it landed or something, because it had been in the sky for over a year and a half. That was kind of the thing that really excited people about it. Was I think, let's see here, 2006 X-37 flew again, data link failure, 37B test, transferred to the Delta 7920, 2010 manufacturing work. Okay, October 8th, 2014, NASA confirmed X-37B vehicles would be housed at the Kennedy Space Center and orbital facilities. I think this is it. Speculative regarding purposes. What was I going to say? Processing, design. Let's see. Days. Can I put that in? 780 days. Okay. The subsequent flights gradually extended the mission duration, reaching 780 days in orbit for the fifth mission. That's the one that really excited people. So this was in the sky for a long time. I guess I haven't been paying attention. The sixth mission launched on the Atlas V in 2020 and concluded 2022 at 908 days in orbit. So there's been some pretty impressive, like
Well, it's also
long
funny.
durations.
They want to say that the same, or maybe a revision of the same thing, is still in operation
Mhm.
25 years later. Okay.
Yeah, to some extent. I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I mean, in certain levels, this is all you really. How much are you going to improve on the aerospace design? The main things you can improve upon are the technology of flying a drone like this. But if it's a radio drone, then really that improvement could be done at the Kennedy Center. As long as on Earth your computers are updating, that's all you need to. This is essentially
Mm,
a remote control car,
right.
right?
Hmm.
So this the Reich had radio controlled intercontinental ballistic missiles back in the early 40s, late 30s. This is not something that's super impressive on its own. The most impressive thing is its capacity to withstand elemental issues like the ferret, like the you know extremely low frequency and high radiation belt and particle blasts, anything that we're supposed to be afraid would destroy something like this, and that they could just take a beating and keep on ticking, basically. So that's why everyone's impressed with like a near 3 year orbit. If you get a rocket to stay up in the sky for nearly 3 years, I'll be impressed with you. All right, then Robert Sapolsky. What about Robert Sapolsky? I think we've seen him on Joe Rogan. He's an interesting character, talking about everything from neuroendocrinology, biology, and even he's brought up anthropology as well.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I may have brought him up because it says endocrinology related to stress. Maybe just go to his main theories, then I may remember why I put him there.
Okay. Career. Is there a personal views?
Oh no, he's got no.
Well, in
Yes?
views, in a podcast with Light Watkins called Neuroscientist: How to Escape the Rat Race with Robert Sapolsky. Sapolsky says that after learning in a synagogue about how God, quote, hardened Pharaoh's heart, he woke up one night at 2 a.m. as a teenager and said, "Oh, I get it. There is no God and there's no free will." That's what it was. His theory is like the no free will theory. He's been really pushing that free will doesn't exist. The universe is a big, empty, indifferent place. And that's kind of where I've been ever since. Yeah, I think that that's interesting. He started out as the son of a Soviet atheist family of Jews raised in the United States. And from there, he started his theories. If you type in free will Sapolsky, you'll find the articles why free will doesn't exist according to Robert Sapolsky and the New Scientist. If you're interested in free will, we've done conversations in the past with Joseph Smith's great grand Seth Garrett, and Seth's talked about the lack of free will as well. I think we've done a couple debates, even kind of debates about or discussions on the channel about free will, and pointed out Sapolsky's ideas. I think there's a range of will that can be, obviously there's limits to what you can experience in terms of free will, and everything's built up in terms of what range of probabilities are out there. But we might be maximalizing and extending and capitalizing on that rigidity to create free will. I think free will might be emergent. Still, it's worth looking into Sapolsky for that. Is that
somehow makes me think of the Mennonites again, or Anabaptists, if they say, well, you actually should, however free that choice then is, but at least have some sentience and conscious awareness.
Anabaptists are far more into free will than Calvinists. I think that's another reason why I like them. 2 points to the Anabaptists and the Amish and the Mennonites. So then one of our friends, Leo Zagami, just a plug if you haven't already seen this conversation. I thought it was funny because I had planned on, you see this at the beginning of the conversation, the flex. I felt really proud of this. We named this video a couple days before we made the video, right? This was a live stream conversation, but we set it to premiere and to do this, 2 days earlier, 3 days earlier, I'd labeled the video. I knew what we were talking about. Leo was coming on and we were going to talk about his new book and the new pope, and he was going to predict who the new pope was going to be and what the new pope was going to be. I called the video Pope Leo, right? And of course, that means we were the first, by a long shot, by several days, first place in the world, I think, that anyone was saying Pope Leo. Even if you had some weird foresight that Robert Prevost was going to become the Pope, it was not possible that you could know he was going to pick the name Leo, I don't think. So, a little flex there. Good for us. A main point of this video is that Prevost has come off as some sort of a MAGA supporter, and that's debunked here by Leo. Essentially, the more you look into Robert Prevost, you see he is, like most Jesuits, critical of something, then you interfere with that thing, right? I did the same thing. For a long time, I was registered in California as a Democrat so I could vote in the Democratic primaries. It's not like I liked anything they did. It's actually the opposite. I just wanted to have some say in what they did because of how screwed up it was. That doesn't mean that that's the best way to do that, the best mechanism. But essentially, that's what Prevost, I think, has been doing, and what Leo was saying. He's interfering with the president. He's been interfering. Pope Leo has been interfering with the vice president. He constantly is criticizing J.D. Vance. So, all right, just if you're interested in that, because half of the internet saying, "Oh God, we love the Pope so much. He's this MAGA Republican supporter who posts and tweets Kanye West music and everything." I'm like, I think you might be missing the point. Yeah,
people may be missing a lot, and anytime, even with main political pundits in Austria, but it seems similar in the US. in anything that is remotely mainstream and even partially the alternative mainstream, I'm always at a loss when people are glazing, like, the British royal family or whatever new super exalted, well, including presidents, but especially with the Pope, where it's always like there everyone comes together and they all think, oh, they're so great because maybe they have good PR and say certain things, but nobody ever cares to look into their backgrounds. One of the fun things I saw, I'm sure you've also seen it before, is apparently this guy who is now playing the Pope, and let's not forget, he's the vicar of Christ. And if you go down the David Ewing Jr. rabbit hole and the whole humanism thing, Jesus is God, the Pope is the representative of Christ. Basically, the Pope is God. And there is even, forged or not, medieval documents where the Pope is proclaiming, I don't only own everything that you can possibly see, but also, by the way, I'm God, Papa, the Pope.
Of course.
But anyways, he was supposedly, apparently, the stunt double or something for Alien versus Predator in
No,
89.
so I wish
Or
that
is
were
this
true.
is this not true? Well, then please
Yeah,
debunk it,
it's
because
really
it was like this would be
it's
too
really
crazy.
it's a really funny AI post, but I think the reason it's so funny is because then you want to if you wanted to cite your sources, you want to check to debunk something, and how would you go about searching about whether or not the Pope was in Predator or not? You would have to
Well,
type in.
IMDb would
Well,
not be so hard. I didn't check it, so.
you might exactly. If you were gonna, you'd probably Google his name and the word Predator, Pope Leo and Predator. What do you think comes up when you type in the Pope and Predator?
Because that would be the other part of it, which I actually wanted to allude to, which I
Right.
cannot possibly verify. But the thing is, there were similar things with the last Pope and even with the one before and before that and so on. And it seems anytime these elections happen, it's of course particularly funny to watch on a regular public broadcast, like, for example, the Austrian state broadcasting, with the big I, which we've shown before. We will actually look at some of the media later related to other things. But then you always have these newscasters sitting there solemnly and like, oh, we're waiting for the white smoke to emerge. And then we're very sorry, we will even move our regularly scheduled news broadcast because today the new Pope got elected. And they all solemnly sit there. And I'm like, wow, am I happy I don't have their jobs, So this is incredible.
So I think this is the one. Time Magazine even brings up, Pope Leo's name carries a warning about the rise of AI because of the fake news about the Predator thing. But as soon as you type in Pope Leo Predator or Robert Prevost Predator, you're going to see that victims are alleging that Pope Leo the 14th mishandled sexual abuse cases involving priests in both Chicago and Peru. I brought this up the day he became the Pope on Adam Krigler's show because, as someone who was raised Catholic, a major problem in our lifetime was leaders of the American Catholic Society specifically, but also just the Catholic Church around the world, taking priests who were child molesters and moving them around, just changing where they're located because there wasn't internet yet. So, hey, we just found this guy who's a real problem for our community. We should do something. Oh, yeah, take that guy, disappear him into another community that's never heard of the problems, and then he can go back to doing what he was doing before. And with Robert Prevost, he not only did this in Chicago, but eventually left Chicago, went back to Peru because he'd been living in Peru in 85 to 86 or something like that. And he got citizenship in 2015. And lo and behold, the same thing was going on in Peru. So it's one thing to maybe have been, I mean, we would like to say, oh, he could have done more in Chicago, or, oh, maybe he just was naive to the situation, or maybe it's super complicated and we don't completely understand. Maybe it's beyond the faculties of the plebeians to understand these chomos in the Vatican. But it gets worse and worse when you see this guy creating a pattern, right? A pattern that exists even outside of where maybe Chicago's the problem, maybe the Peru's the problem. No, it's the whole meta that's the problem.